playoff, somehow establishes something, and that's a very clever approach. I mean, that's such a brilliant approach. That's why everybody does it that way. I mean, nobody does it that way. I mean, if we were so smart, wouldn't all the other sports say, I know what, let's have a committee, because why not? Because, we're American, we love committees. Let's get us a committee. Well, who should be on the committee? Well, I don't know. This guy's a good guy. Let's have him on the committee. Well, I mean, there's people on the committee that don't even have remote associations with football, nor have they at any level other than being a fan. But you know what? Let's have them on a committee. Why not? And then, I mean, it'd be fun. We'd go to that resort. We could talk. We could hang out at dinner. And then we'll decide which 4 teams should go. Because you know why? We don't need to solve this on the field. Because we're the ones that know. And then, so, I mean, if we're going to do it that way, we should just ask them at the beginning of the season, just go ahead and you guys vote on it, figure out 1, 2, 3, and 4, and why even have the games? To me, I mean, it's not a playoff. There's nothing playoff about it. And this is even if we make it. Even if we make it, my thoughts don't change. I mean, how can you call it a playoff when there's 4 teams? Conference champions don't even necessarily make.
And welcome everybody to Unfiltered Sports Weekly. As always, my name is Keb.
Saint Joe. Oh, Saint Joe and the Hizzy too.
Oh, and I'm the Beeb, in case you didn't hear.
All right, we're glad you're with us tonight for this little special thing for anybody catching us on YouTube tonight. But all right, here we go. College football playoff is set.
We can't do this. I can't.
Okay, it's set, and there seems to be a contingent of the football watching public that has a problem with the 4 teams that label out like this. Michigan is number 1. Okay, Washington is number 2. Texas is number 3, and Alabama Crimson Tide is number 4. Number 6 was the defending 2-time national champion Georgia Bulldogs, and number 5 was the Florida State Seminoles. Some people have a problem with this, and you know what? I'm fucking one of them.
Whatever do you mean, Kev?
Whatever do you mean? I don't think there's anybody sitting in here that's.
So,
my
question to you guys is real quick, Beebs. We'll go to you first.
All right.
Your thoughts on the picks by the committee.
Okay, so before we start the conversation, there is an objective statistical database that we can go to determine who the top 4 are, and it's called the College Football Power Index, strength of record. Okay. Can you guess who the top 6 were?
Well, it doesn't matter. The top 4 would be in the playoffs.
Right. So the top 4 strength of record power index. Once the season has finished, the top 4. Can you guess who number 1 was?
Michigan.
Nope.
Georgia, probably.
Nope.
Texas.
Nope. Now remember, strength of record all has to do with the teams that you beat and what they were ranked when you beat them. The Washington Huskies were number 1 in the country.
Okay.
Which is because they beat Oregon twice and they beat a couple other teams that were highly ranked. Michigan's number 2. Florida State is number 3. Guess who number 4 is?
Texas.
Nope.
So then
the Alabama Crimson Tide. Guess who number 5 is? Is Texas. Guess who number 6 is? Ohio State. Georgia doesn't even get in the top 6 of the Power Football Index.
Well, that makes sense because their schedule was a cupcake schedule.
Right. So what I'm saying is there is an objective way to figure this out based on the wins of the team at the time they played the other team. and all they had to do was compute either that or like Kev mentioned the BCS earlier today. I mean, we don't have to sit in like Mike Leach is such a treasure, and we miss him in college football, don't we?
Yeah, rest
We
in peace.
really
Yeah.
miss that guy.
Yeah,
And because he just talked, he didn't talk nonsense. You know what I mean? He told it like it was.
Yeah.
Whatever happened on Saturday night, Sunday morning, whenever they made that decision, I have no idea what happened. Like, I get, okay, well, if you're going to put Alabama in, you have to put Texas in, right? Because Texas beat Alabama. But one of the things that Mike Leach said in the opening monologue that we played was, why do we even play the games? I mean, like for Florida State. For Florida State, they went undefeated and they're conference champions in a Power 5 conference, and they didn't get into the playoff. Why do you even play the game?
Well, they won the championship, but it was meaningless.
Right. So they won the ACC title, which is a big deal. I mean, that part's a big deal. But why play the games if the ultimate point of the entire season is to get into that playoff? And you do everything right. You have a perfect season, even with your quarterback injured, your best quarterback injured. You go undefeated, playing the last 2 games without your starting quarterback, your last game without your second string quarterback, and you still roll a top 15 team in the ACC title game. And you get left out for teams that, you know, you can make the argument, oh, hey, well, Alabama's on a roll. They look like one of the better teams in America right now, so they need to be in. But you could say the same thing about Texas. The problem is Florida State didn't lose a game. So we don't know.
But hang on. Let's go back to what you originally started off with saying. Where was Florida State in that power ranking?
3. They're the 3rd undefeated team. They're ranked 3rd in the power index.
So then it has to come down to if it depends on who you beat, right? Does it depend on who you beat when you beat them?
That's how they determine the power index.
Sure. So Alabama beat the number 1 ranked team at the time, right?
I don't know. Like I don't know.
So and that's where I think the flaw is in the whole system is, right? So if you go to Alabama played Texas, right? Let's take Texas. They played Texas early on in week 2, right? Is Alabama the same team that played Texas in week 2 as they are at the end? No, they're not. They're a completely different team. Sure. So how do you compare the two? They have a completely different quarterback. It is a completely different look to the team.
And this is what I think Mike Leach was getting at. It was like in that was you have to play the games. A 14 playoff doesn't solve this problem.
Agreed. And I think that's the ultimate flaw, and that's the ultimate thing where next year that's going to be solved, right? They're going to the 12-team playoff, and then nobody's going to they can't argue a point of next year because you're playing and you're doing a lot different things next year.
Right.
Well, so here's Alabama's argument. Okay, Alabama's argument is we just beat the number 1 team in the country.
Exactly.
Okay, that's Alabama's argument. Right. Texas's argument is, well, we beat fucking Alabama.
Exactly.
That's their argument.
Exactly.
We're a conference champion. We beat Alabama.
Right.
Florida State's argument was everybody on our fucking schedule we beat. You know, we took our 3rd string quarterback into the ACC championship game and we still won. Because if you can't compare college football to the NFL, but in the NFL, if you win every game by 1 point, guess what you just won? The fucking Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, there has always been a certain amount of style points that you need in college football. Back when the bowl system was in, where number 1 could be playing number 23 over in the Rose Bowl, and number 2 could be playing number 14 in the Sugar Bowl, and somehow the AP was trying to figure out who won the fucking national championship. But then that wasn't good enough. So then we went to the BCS, right? And a computer was going to tell us, remember, we were it was 1996. Remember, we were guaranteed number 1 versus number 2.
Right.
We were guaranteed. And I remember it went fine up until 2006, and everybody wanted Michigan and Ohio State to play again because they were 1-2 when they played in the regular season, and then Florida crept in there and beat the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they heard for a month they weren't good. They weren't good enough. They weren't good enough.
Right.
You know, so and then that started 10 years of BCS, really SEC dominance in the BCS era, and then everybody's clamoring for a playoff because people are getting let out of the BCS, right? There is, to Mike Leach's point, a certain degree of truth to the fact that the regular season doesn't matter. The games don't matter, and the committee just kind of proved his fucking point.
Right.
You know, I mean, the College Football Playoff Committee just taught the youth of America a valuable lesson that no matter how hard you work for what you want to accomplish, a few old motherfuckers in a locked room are going to decide it for you.
Well, and I think I agree. I think there's two different things there, right? I think the best thing that I like about his speech is he says, let's put somebody that doesn't really know anything about football in a room to decide the fate. This guy over here who doesn't know anything. Yeah, you look good. Let's put you there, and you decide who's going to go. You over there, you decide. You look good. Let's put you in there, and you're going to decide who goes. How did they determine who's on the committee?
Of the committee members, I read there's only 3 committee members who are former coaches.
Right. So that's a major flaw, right? If anything's going to change, let's change that.
Mm-hmm. My problem is the head of the committee is the athletic director at NC State. Last I checked, NC State was a member of which conference?
ACC.
The ACC, right? So if the head of the committee can't have its conference champions back, it may be construed that FSU pissed somebody off,
could be
over there, or it could be construed. I know I'm getting into something that Beaves wants to talk about, but it could be construed that a certain organization out there that may deal with entertainment and sports, and they program it on a network, they may have been in cahoots with somebody else. I don't know. I'm not into conspiracy theories. Flat Earth Dave wasn't available.
Well, so this was the last season of the SEC on CBS, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so next year, the SEC is being covered by, said other company, right? And so my fear has always been, especially since they have control over the announcements, they have control over the announcements of the playoffs, who's in the playoff. They have the control over when the rankings come out in week 6. Is it week 6 or 7 when the initial rankings come out?
It's in October. I don't know what week it is.
So the original college football college football playoff rankings come out. This is all controlled by one company, right? And so there is a bit of a conspiracy theory, and we love conspiracy theories, don't we, Kev? I mean, we love
5G towers, baby.
Theory. So my question is, the Associated Press had Florida State ranked number 3. The Power Football Index had Florida State ranked number 3. Virtually everybody else who believes in sport, period, had Florida State at number 3. And yet somehow this committee found a way to remove them from the playoff entirely. I don't understand how that happened, but I do know that the odds for Florida State, if you were to vote, if you were to go to Vegas and bet on Florida State the night that they won the ACC title, they were odds-on favorites to be in the playoff, and it was a 97% chance that they were going to get into the playoff. That was that night. Sunday morning, those odds had changed dramatically, or drastically, whichever one you want to choose. Those odds had changed in Alabama's favor overnight. Why? We don't know. but I do know that there was an interview with Kirk Herbstreit with the helmets in the background. It had the 4 helmets of the 4 teams that are going to be in the playoff, and this is before the playoff is announced. So whether ESPN had access to those results or not, it was somebody somewhere knew before it was announced who the 4 were going to be.
So are you saying that it comes down to money?
I am.
Shocker.
I'm saying it's not a shocker. I'm just saying, obviously, money has something to do with it. The ACC is not going to drive as much viewership as the SEC, right?
Correct.
Real quick,
Correct.
we're live on YouTube tonight, and we do have a couple comments to get to. Our friends over at the Two Penny Podcast are joining us via YouTube, and the first comment, I put it up on the board. It said that this is when you have the who's bigger rule, which team has the biggest wieners. And really, if you haven't checked out the Two Penny Podcast, that's a great indication.
Well, they're not wrong.
But they're not wrong at all. They're not wrong at all. Their second one though is one that I wholeheartedly agree with. It's seriously though, with as many teams that are in college football and the amount of teams that don't play each other, I don't think there's, even with the pure playoff games, that you will ever be able to get a true champion. I do say this real quick on the Florida State thing. If Jordan Travis was the sole reason that FSU was 13-0, and he's the sole reason that they're not being let in the playoff, then in my opinion, which happens to be fucking right, they should reward him accordingly with the fucking Heisman Trophy, because he is by far the most outstanding player, which, they're not my words, those are the words on the fucking Heisman Trophy. Most outstanding player in college football this year. However, real quick, I know you're chomping at the bit. Let me get through this. I was listening to a podcast last Thursday called Finding Your Way. And Finding Your Way talks about faith a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I was thinking about this over the course of the last couple days of faith and what I have fucking faith in. Okay. And Beebs, remember when I told you, and we rebranded this, that I was going to kind of tone it down? Well, just, forget that for a second. So talking about faith, I do not have any faith in the college football committee ever. Going forward, ever. I have more faith in the Stormtroopers' aim than I do in the college football committee. I have more faith in Facebook's privacy settings. I have more faith in a used mattress being sold on Craigslist. More faith in undated gas station sushi. I have more faith in WebMD telling me that I'm not going to die. I have more faith in jumping out of an airplane after Helen Keller packed my parachute for me. I have more faith in leaving my son at a Catholic church rectory. I have more trust in the Biden administration. I have more trust in a Nigerian prince that needs my help. I have more faith in the ads on Pornhub saying local women want to fuck me. I have more faith in Donald Trump's barber. I have more faith in taking a submersible ride to the fucking Titanic. And I have more faith in Casey Anthony babysitting my kids than I do in the college football playoff committee.
Yikes.
That's one of my favorite Kev monologues.
That's not a lot of faith.
Can you send me a copy of that?
Fuck those guys.
All right.
Okay, yeah. I said what I wanted to say.
I like salty Keb.
I do too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quote a couple people who are. You guys know who David Pollock is?
Oh yeah, Georgia linebacker.
Georgia linebacker, also a announcer for. I don't know if he's still with ESPN or not, but
I thought he got canned.
He might have got canned, but his statement on Twitter was Florida State got absolutely hosed. They have at least 2 first-round picks, talent all over the field. They go undefeated and still on the outside looking in. 2-0 versus the SEC teams this season. The 2014 Buckeyes got in with a third-string QB. Florida State University should have been in. That's David Pollock, and he played for Georgia. Okay, so yeah. there's here's another quote from Twitter. College football is not a serious sports league until they let the games determine the results instead of the bureaucrats and talking heads. Curtis Fitzpatrick, new college football rule: don't lose your starting quarterback to injury. You might as well quit playing the rest of the season. If you do, nothing else matters after that. And here's Kirk Herbstreit, October 12th, 2014. Why such sensitivity from Florida State University fans? If you win out, you'll be in the top 4 regardless. Who cares who's 1 or 2? Goal is to finish in the top 4. That did not.
What was the date on that?
It was in 2014.
Yeah, 2014.
Mm-hmm. That was back. Did they win the national title that year? Florida State?
No.
Basically, he was telling Florida State
maybe,
fans
yeah,
to quit barking because they weren't, 1 or 2. He was saying, as long as you're in the top 4, no big deal. Goal is to finish. And he said, if you win out, you'll be in the top 4. That was what he said. That's Kirk Herbstreit.
But what was their record?
At the time, they were undefeated. But Kirk Herbstreit was the one that, if you went and listened to him talk, said, oh, well, they weren't the same team after Jordan Travis went down. They didn't look as good in the last couple games, so they didn't really deserve to get in the top 4. He's the one that is, he was angling for Alabama, saying that Alabama should be in over Florida State. It's just,
but he went to Ohio State. He's a dumb motherfucker, man.
But he's not wrong. I mean, he's not.
So wait. You don't think Florida State deserves to be in?
No.
Say Joe.
I don't.
No. Why?
No.
They won their conference. They're undefeated.
Out of the top 5 teams that would be there, Florida State's the weakest team.
Okay.
Based on what evidence?
I don't care if they're undefeated. They're the weakest team. Did you watch that game?
I did. I watched every snap of that game.
Did you watch the Louisville game? They looked like shit. They barely beat Louisville.
No, they didn't barely beat you. They didn't barely.
What was the score, Brandon? 10-6?
16-6. And they ran away with it, and Louisville didn't get a first down in the fourth quarter.
16-6 is not running away with the game. I'm sorry. They were lucky to score that last 16. It was a shit show of a game. It was an absolute horrible game to watch.
Yeah, but the Michigan-Iowa game wasn't much better.
Well, 23-0. I mean, really, you expected Michigan to win, though. I mean, you expected Michigan to blow out Iowa. And Iowa is.
But it's 23-0 a blowout.
No. I would expect the game to be
today's game, but back in the day it was, right? Back in the day,
I would expect Michigan to be 60.
That's what I thought too. I thought Michigan would blow the doors off of it.
I thought for sure they would have, but I give credit to Iowa's defense that they held them to 23 points.
All right,
I mean, it was just horrible.
And I put a tweet out Sunday morning that said that I thought it would be Michigan, Washington, FSU, and Texas. And the reason I kept Alabama out of that, you're talking here on this program. I'm currently the lone representative of the SEC here, and so I know I was keeping the SEC out, but just for the sheer fact of that Texas beat Alabama, so it was really irrelevant who Alabama beat. Texas beat them.
You were the one that brought up last week that an undefeated Power 5 conference champion has never been let.
Yeah, so I felt that, it sets a very dangerous precedent. I know this is the last year of it, but a very dangerous precedent to, the old adage, if you've been watching football a long time, you've heard this, that especially like when a quarterback goes down, you can't lose your position to injury. That's like an old adage. It's only happened a handful of times. Drew Bledsoe lost his to Tom Brady and this and that. But you're not supposed to lose your position to injury. Well, what if that position is in the top 4 in the country, having the 21 other players that are on the field for your team, not being able to play for a national championship because one player went down? Because that's
right.
The only reasoning that I've heard, that Jordan Travis was so good that we can't we can't have Florida State in the playoff if he's not going to play because he was basically the team. That's the only argument that I've heard.
I will say, I watched the game. It was a pitiful game to watch.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
But I'll say this, St. Joe, in counter to that, Alabama 7 days ago played Auburn. Do you remember the score of that game?
Yeah, they barely won. They won on the last play of the game.
Who did Auburn lose the week prior to?
It was like Western Arizona or something like that.
New Mexico State.
New Mexico State.
Do you know what the score was?
They got smoked. It was like 50
31 to 10.
Yeah, they got smoked.
And they almost lost to Auburn, who lost 31 to 10 to New Mexico State. This is football, man. This is football, man. Anything happens on any given day.
That's to St. Joe's point.
So what does that have to do with the FSU Louisville game?
It has everything to do with it. Alabama can suck on any given day too. My point is Florida State got it done and won. And that's how sports work.
Right, so because Michigan didn't blow out Iowa, that's why they were number 2.
No, they're number 1. They were number 1 on the playoff committee poll.
What are they ranked now?
They're ranked number 1 on the playoff committee poll. The Washington Huskies in the Power Index were ranked higher because when they won their final game against Oregon was ranked, what, number 5 or 6?
Yeah, but what is the ranking right now? Isn't Washington number 1?
No.
Michigan's number 1?
Michigan, the committee voted them number 1.
Right.
Right.
The committee voted Washington number 1.
Right. The Power Index.
Right, but why do you think that is?
The committee voted Michigan number 1. The Power Index has Washington Huskies number 1.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right.
And the reason is because the final games that those two teams played, Iowa wasn't ranked as highly as Oregon was when Washington beat Oregon.
Right. Okay, well, let me ask you this. One
second. Because I think you're the only person that cares about stats. Okay.
Right.
I mean, the college football playoff committee clearly doesn't care about stats. I mean, this is the whole thing, the whole fucking Sam Bradford and Tim Tebow thing all over again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah.
Let me just say that Florida State lost that game. Louisville wins. Who goes in their spot? I know it doesn't matter, but who would have gone in that spot?
I would have voted for Ole Miss. Ole Miss.
What are you talking about?
If Florida State would have lost that game, if Louisville would have won, now who goes in?
Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But Alabama's already in.
No.
Alabama's in over Florida State right now.
Yeah.
But Alabama was already in because they beat Georgia.
Texas was number 3. Alabama was the last team in.
Like in my scenario, it would have been Michigan, Washington, FSU, and then Texas. Mm-hmm. But if FSU had lost and been what does that make it 12-1?
Yeah.
If they would have lost to Louisville, then Alabama would have been in at number 4. It would have been Michigan. It would have been what it is now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that's where we're sitting. That's where we're sitting now. Anyway.
The reason I wholeheartedly believe that the reason that Alabama is in there is because they didn't want to have a playoff without an SEC team in the playoff.
And it's about, I guess, at the end of the day, if you want to be real frank, it's about the money, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And the second reason, I think, well, I have a lot of second reasons tonight for some reason, but the second reason
this is like your ninth reason, asshole.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have 23 tonight. I'm gonna have it's like my list. It's like my list. I can't have 10.
Four honorable mentions.
Yep, exactly. Is that I think they want to have the Texas Alabama rematch. I mean, it boils down to money. If they have that rematch, it just is going to be.
And those are the two most lucrative teams in college football.
Yep. But let me ask you this:
with all due respect to Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, the Catholics like to give money away, so that's fine. But
you know what else the Catholics like to do?
Hello. Why do you think they have so many kids?
Oh, geez. For heaven's sakes. What were you saying?
Don't egg him on. Don't egg him on.
The rhythm method. Hello. Back off and jack off. Hello. So anyway, here's what we go. What was I saying? Now you got me all screwed off.
You're saying back off and jack off.
You got me all messed up now. Texas and Alabama. Where was I going with this? It was something SEC.
We had mentioned that Texas and Alabama are the two most lucrative programs.
Money. Oh, so what do you think? Because of money, there's a twofold to this. Is that FSU gets out of it now? How does it affect the recruiting? You have to look at it in this aspect. Is that because they did miss it? Look at the avalanche effect that it's going to have because of that. I mean, a 13-0 team, that's a big hit that they're going to take because of recruiting. So I don't know.
The recruits they could have got,
right?
Maybe not go to them now.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, it's also kind of like, okay, we can. I mean, I think we've all made our points about Florida State not getting in, right?
Right.
So I would like to move on maybe a little bit further down the list because I had mentioned Penn State being ranked number 10, right? And they have a power index rating that puts them right where they were ranked, and it's ahead of Oklahoma. So I still feel like that these New Year's Six bowl games, I really struggle with. We had talked about this at lunch, but Liberty actually is in the top because they're undefeated. They're in the top 15 because they're undefeated. So these Power 5 conference or these Power 5 are New Year's Six bowl games. I really struggle with who gets in and why they get in.
Well, they're the highest ranked group of 5,
right? But that's
why they're in because
it always leaves out a much better team.
Well, but that's the rules.
I know.
Okay. Can we back up for 1 second and give Florida State a little bit of credit here and they should be happy in, because it is the first time ever that a number 1 team fell out of the top 4 and they went to 6 and Florida State's number 5. So they should be happy that they're over they're over the number 1 team in the nation that fell to number 6 and they're in number 5. So they do kind of have one up on somebody, right? And they're ending up playing them in the Power 6 bowl.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're just sitting there saying, "Oh man, I'm so thankful that we're ranked ahead of Georgia." But
put your big girl panties on and be happy about something.
I mean, that's like your buddy telling you, "Yeah, hey man, I got this chick. She's really hot. I want you to meet her." And he opens the door, and it's your fucking sister. You know, I mean, that's like saying that.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Fat girls need love too. Come on.
But I mean, I get what you're saying.
How do you know my sister?
boy.
Older sister.
Well, here's my next question. If losing Jordan Travis was such a big deal to Florida State and dropping them further down the rankings, then how come they weren't behind Georgia? How come they didn't fall past Ohio State?
Because they won the championship.
I think that the college football committee had something to do with the JFK assassination. That's what I think.
It's flat earthers. I think they're flat earthers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've beat the conversation to death,
have we? I don't know if we have.
Any more that you want to add, Kev?
No, I do want to say, in talking about the Louisville and Florida State game, that the people in Kentucky really hate it when you call their capital Louisville.
Yeah, it's not.
It's because it's Frankfurt.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Here's something I was thinking, and I actually texted you guys this because Iowa drives me insane. I do not know how a team like that makes it to a conference title game. 1. And 2, I'm not sure how their quarterback gets to be a quarterback in Division I NCAA.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was not a good game.
I believe it's called the FBS now. I don't think it's called Division I anymore.
All right. Well, watching that game just made me think one team is ready to win a title. The other team doesn't even belong in the game. In the Big Ten title game.
It was horrible.
Not only do I think the college or the playoff committee has it wrong, I think the conferences have some things going on that are wrong. Like isn't the Big Ten conference doing away with that now?
I don't know. It's
Like,
the
aren't
Big
they
Ten.
doing
It's
away
not
from?
real. It's
They're
not
doing
real
away with the
football.
divisions now, and it'll be just the top 2 teams in the conference.
No,
And
they're going to have like 18 teams in there. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. So it's yeah. You talk about
And
money
you know
grab.
what? You know what? I'm sorry, St. Joe. I know we got a month to talk about this shit, but Alabama gonna kick the fucking shit out of Michigan.
I think it's going to be a good game.
all right, so early pick'ems then. How about that? Now that we've exhausted how we feel about Florida State, I believe they should have been in, but now that we have the top 4 that have been given to us by the committee, who do you have winning which game? So we have Washington, Texas. Who wins that game? St. Joe?
I'm going Washington. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think Washington will win.
Keb?
It depends on who wins the Heisman.
Interesting.
Because the only superstition that I have is very few Heisman winners win the national championship. Very few.
So you're saying if Michael Penix wins the Heisman, then they probably won't win the title.
I'll take Texas.
Okay.
But if he doesn't win the Heisman, he could be pissed that he didn't win the Heisman, and then
And he runs rampant. Interesting.
I mean, here's the thing, man. Washington can put up some points.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon's good, and they beat them twice.
Yeah.
And so they can put up some points. I'm not, with all due respect to Texas, but I personally, they beat an Alabama team when Alabama was still trying to figure out who was going to play quarterback.
Exactly.
Granted, they beat them in Tuscaloosa. The eye test doesn't do it with Texas with me. They played Oklahoma State, which, to tell you the truth, was a lesser ranked opponent than what Florida State played. So Texas doesn't do it for me. I mean, I love Sark as much as the next guy, and they've got a well-balanced team, but they just don't do it for me. Washington has impressed me down the line, and I'm not a real big fan of the Pac-12, but again, they beat Oregon twice.
They beat some other good teams too. I mean, it wasn't just Oregon.
So that's the wild card game for me. I think Alabama beats Michigan. I think they beat them convincingly because I don't really think Michigan's all that great. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's going to be the last game that Harbaugh coaches.
Okay.
So
what do you think Alabama, Michigan? What do you think that game looks like, St. Joe?
I agree. I think Alabama wins. I think Alabama's one of the best teams out there.
So
right
you're
now.
saying Alabama, Washington?
Washington. Mm-hmm.
You're saying Alabama, Texas, unless Penix loses the Heisman. I'm saying Washington, Michigan. I just have a weird feeling about Michigan this year, whether they win the title or not. But I think they're actually gonna cause some havoc. So I'm saying Michigan at least play. I'm going to say that's a really good game, and I think Michigan will win it. But I think Washington wins the national title. I think it's going to be a weird year. But
I'll tell you this, that my most anticipated game to watch will not be either of those two games. It will be the Florida State-Georgia game because as a Florida Gator fan, I'll be rooting for both of them to lose. However, I do think Georgia will win that game. I think it'll be closer than you think. And I'm talking to you, Georgia fan out there right now. If Florida State wins that game, you will not hear, it will be 1 year. You will not hear. I don't care how many years in a row you've beaten us in the Florida Georgia game. I don't care how many national titles you won. If you lose to Florida State, and they go truly undefeated, you will not hear the fucking end of it. Not just from me, but for a lot of people.
Man, if they actually do beat Georgia,
they got every bit of motivation now.
I'm all about them claiming the fake national title. I'm all about it. Like UCF did. I'm all about them doing that. Like, because they actually won a Power 5 conference and were undefeated. And then if they go on to beat Georgia, I think what else do they have left to prove? But
and then the good old Ron over there in Tallahassee. You get Ron to declare the national championship just like his predecessor did for UCF. And good old Ron
Good old
over
Ron.
there. Ron's running for president. He needs all the people to vote for him.
All the people. That's right.
Yeah, all the people to vote for him. So, real quick, let's move on from this real quick and talk about the Heisman Trophy for a second.
Okay.
Okay, so the 4 people up for the Heisman Trophy are Penix, the quarterback from Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Bo Nix, quarterback, University of Oregon, right? The Ducks never wear the same uniform twice,
right?
Yeah. Do you know why that is, by the way?
Because Phil Knight's rich.
They're sponsored by Nike.
Phil Knight went to Oregon,
Yeah.
So you got Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the Sakai State University.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And who am I missing?
The guy from LSU.
Oh, yeah. Oh, how do I
Daniels.
forget Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, there should have been a 5th because I believe the best football player plays quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles. I'm just
Jordan
kidding.
Travis.
I do think that Brock Bowers might have, but there's no way they're ever going to get a Heisman to a tight end,
that'd be awkward.
But he is one hell of a fucking football player, and if that dude wants to come to Jacksonville and wear teal for the rest of his career, I'm good with that.
Please.
But all right, so Daniels, Nix, Penix, or Harrison, who you got?
St. Joe?
Man. I mean, it's between 2 for me. I mean, I'd give it to Penix. I could see Penix winning it.
See, I can see him winning it too, just simply because they went undefeated.
Yeah.
And he did lead his team.
but so did Florida State.
He's not nominated.
But he's not nominated, which is also a travesty, apparently. Anyway, the only thing that I can Penix won them some games that I think that they wouldn't have won without him. And then the only thing is Jaden, or is it Jalen Daniels or Jaden?
It's Jaden Daniels.
So Jaden Daniels is the LSU Tigers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You take him off that team and they win 3 games this year. I don't know how many. I mean, he basically single-handedly won them all of their games this year. So that, I guess, makes him the MVP, which should make him the best football player in America. But I don't know. Penix is on a team that's undefeated and in the playoffs. So I guess that's what people are going to have to weigh. I said Penix as well, just because of their undefeated status. But I do think Jaden Daniels probably is going to win it, even though I said Penix. Kev?
So Marvin Harrison Jr., great player. Ohio State doesn't win many games without him, but he's a wide receiver, and he's not going to get it.
It's going to be the next Chicago Bear.
Yeah, so,
Probably.
Bo Nix, fuck that guy. Okay. I nothing that he really did, but I remember when his dad played in the mid-'90s and beat up on the Gators as the Auburn Tigers starting quarterback. His name was Patrick Nix. So fuck them. Okay. I respect Penix, and I respect Washington a lot. If you asked me a month ago, do I respect Washington? I'd be like, fuck no, but I do now. And, another thing with Bo Nix, he throws really good passes to the other team. Yeah.
At the wrong time.
Yeah. And anyhow, so I respect Penix, but Jaden Daniels, I mean, you talk about an eye test. That dude is good.
Yeah.
That dude is real good. And I think if you put him on Washington, they still go undefeated. But if you put Penix on LSU, who knows what goes on there. Nothing to take away. I think it's going to be close, but I think Jaden Daniels wins.
Yeah, to be fair to that argument, I think Washington has a much more well-rounded team than LSU had. They have a great defense. They have an incredible running back. I mean, their running back on Washington is really hard to tackle, and he can play ball. So I can see the argument for Jaden Daniels for sure. And it's not always someone who's on the best team that wins the Heisman Trophy. You know, the quarterback for the Ravens. What's his name again?
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And
Caleb Williams won last year too. So
one thing, back to the fuck boys. I mean, the College Football Playoff Committee. How much do you think the national championship game last year weighed into their decision? You know,
the blowout,
the fucking blowout. The TCU didn't belong there, even though they beat Michigan. You know, how much do you think that keyed into there? They didn't want an embarrassing, game again. You know, with a backup quarterback.
I think a lot.
I mean, that doesn't mean that's not going to happen again. You know what I mean?
Right.
You've got 30 days in between these last games and the next game. 30 days is a long time. And you got a Christmas holiday. So that, in my opinion, plays into it as well. It really does. Which coaches can keep their teams focused for those 30 days.
Okay. All right. So what's next?
What else happened this weekend?
Lots of things happened, but St. Joe, this one's for you. So we can move on to my segment, which is like my favorite thing from last week, which I guess that's what we'll call it. My favorite thing from last week.
Perfect.
I just wanted to point out that Wisconsin drudged Marquette in basketball over the weekend.
That was a great game.
Awesome. I mean,
that was an incredible
Wisconsin
game.
may not be the best on the football field, but they are always good at basketball. Always.
Yeah.
And if you care about fundamental basketball, always have a good team.
Yeah.
Always have a team that will play with you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give a shout out to them.
Weekend. Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out to them. The other great thing that I saw over the weekend was, and not to beat a dead horse here, but Florida State won the ACC title. Not going to bring up the playoffs. They won the ACC title with their third string quarterback. Their defense was unstoppable. So that was one of the, I know you said it was a crappy game, but from a defensive side standpoint, Florida State's defense was unhinged in that game. Like a really good defense. So shout out to them. That was fun. I mean, that was a good thing to watch. I think they had 7 sacks. Some crazy number. So
yeah.
That's my favorite stuff from over the weekend.
Kev? Those are good.
I got a problem.
Oh boy. Have you seen the doctor about it?
Is it a different problem?
It's a different problem.
Okay.
It's a different problem. I got a motherfucking problem with the Jacksonville Jaguars fucking defense.
Yes.
Motherfucker couldn't stop a goddamn thing. And then I got another problem with fucking Walker Little stepping on fucking Trevor Lawrence's foot, and he turns and he's got to roll his motherfucking ankle. And now we're underdogs against the motherfucking Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
Next week.
It was an accident.
Fuck him.
I got to admit, after watching the replay like 5 times, I thought he tore his ACL or something like that because just the way he bent over, funny. I saw the ankle sprain, but when he bent over weirdly on his leg like that, it just didn't look right.
And to add insult to injury, literally, we lost Christian Kirk probably for the season.
What's his injury?
He has a deep muscle. Okay, so basically your dick is right here, right?
He tore his groin.
Yeah, basically a deep muscle, whatever, and he pulled it because he went to the Gold Club. This is where the injury started. He went to the Gold Club, and he was in the champagne room with drinking the Cristal with Martika. Right?
He got a blue waffle.
Yeah. If you're out there and you're listening, don't Google blue waffle.
Do not Google blue waffle. It is.
I could just see Mama D right now. What is blue waffle?
If you do, make sure you clear your browser history because yes.
Also run virus scan.
Not safe for work.
Yeah.
I can see Jay right now. Blue waffle.
If I don't get a DM about the Casey Anthony joke, I'm definitely going to get a DM about the blue
the Casey Anthony joke.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I liked it.
That was something else. It was well done. That's
you
what
know.
yeah.
But
the Jags. We're going to talk more about the Jags, I think, but maybe we're not. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, look, man, they scored a lot of points. You know, I mean, if you would have told me, hey, they're going to score 31 and lose, I'd have been like, fuck you. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you score over 30 in the NFL, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. But when your defense just doesn't show up, they were tailgating or something. I mean,
how about
they
the
couldn't.
kicker? The kicker didn't show up either.
Yeah, man. I mean, McManus, they fucking jinxed him in the fucking Texans game. Okay, they're like, oh, this motherfucker's 19 for 19. Motherfucker missed, and then he missed 2. I mean, he makes us 2, we win. You know, I mean, here's the thing: C.J. Beathard, he's a serviceable backup. I mean, he ain't Trevor Lawrence. He's not throwing this dart. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was on fucking point last night. You know, I mean, he was throwing darts. He looked fucking good. I mean, you guys have been down there. You go to a night game in Jacksonville, it's different. Like a 1 o'clock game, it's like whatever. People are like rolling, but you go to a night game, those people been drinking all fucking day, right? And it's fucking loud. You know, Chargers game last year, the Titans game last year. Yeah, I mean, it's lively. A night game down there, there's just something different about it. You know, and I mean, the end zones were painted black. It was a blackout. Everybody's wearing black in the stadium.
Yeah,
you know,
I'll say this, man. CJ Beathard did his job. That holding call, holding call. I don't think it gets called. I'm still not sure. I mean, I can look at it and I can see the guy sold it really well. Like the defender sold it really well. It didn't. On the replay, you could see a grab for like a split second, but man, that was pretty harsh. I mean, that was a pretty harsh holding penalty. Beathard delivered a great pass downfield, put it in a place only his receiver could catch it, and they're on the 1 yard line. They're going to go in and score a touchdown. The game's over, and the refs called holding and pretty much.
I think if that's Patrick Mahomes back there throwing that pass, that holding call doesn't get called.
Right. And you know, you talk about Beathard. A backup quarterback in the NFL, really you want him to do 2 things. You want to deliver the ball with accuracy, and you want him not to fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, that's why 9 times out of 10, you see a backup that has more years than the starter. You know, I mean, look last year, Patrick Mahomes, he had Chad Henne. You know, Beathard has been around longer than Trevor Lawrence. You have these backups that have the experience to go in and not fuck up. You know, not. You remember last year when the Jaguars were playing the Chiefs, and we knocked Mahomes out for a series, and Henne came in there and drove him right down the damn field.
Yeah, 98 yards.
Because he didn't fuck up. You know, he didn't throw interceptions, he didn't fumble the fucking football. You know, but here's the thing: Beathard got his left wrist got injured last night. Yeah, and it's not his throwing wrist, but his left wrist. If he would have had to come out, Evan Ingram would have had to play quarterback because he is crazy. The emergency quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. So, you know, I would have put Ridley back there or ETN, you know, just run their Wildcat for the rest of the, you know.
Yeah, right.
You know, but I will be, while we're talking about the NFL, you know, the Denver Broncos finally lost.
They did.
Yeah. You know, and that was a close game that they probably should have won. You know, that they probably should have won, but they couldn't convert. I thought they were going to there at the end.
Yeah, they lost.
Were in position. They were in position.
Indy won a great game in overtime. Helped out, I guess, a little bit because Tennessee lost, but they won. Kansas City lost a stunner in Green Bay.
That was a stunner.
First loss with Taylor there. I know I beat you to it, right?
No, it was the first time Mahomes had ever played in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
First time he had ever been to Green Bay.
Yeah.
San Francisco handled Philadelphia.
Yeah, they gave Philly a whooping.
How about those Philadelphia fans, by the way?
Yeah.
Did you see those videos, Kev? No.
Those fucking guys. There is nothing endearing about Philadelphia.
No.
Nothing. They punch horses. Okay? No. There's nothing endearing. They're not nice. You know, if I really want to say something here, but I don't want to spend tomorrow arguing with people.
Yeah. My kid's an Eagles fan, and he wants to go to a game there. And I said, "You're not going to an Eagles game. There's no way. There's
Hell no.
absolutely no way. No,
Hell no.
Man,
no.
that seems like a scary place to go watch a football game.
Oh my God, you would die. I mean, they were playing the Vikings, and they showed people, and they're literally like throwing beer cans at them. I mean, it's just insane. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah.
Any other games of note over the weekend?
I can't think of any other that really stand out to me that were Miami put a whomping on Washington.
That was a big game. Yeah, that wasn't a big game, but they won big.
They're up there in the standings for the AFC. Cleveland lost. That helped for next week. Going into the game next week, that helps. So football is good right now. AFC is I think the dominant division right now. NFC, you've got three teams. You've got San Francisco, Philly, and Dallas. Unfortunately, that's the AFC or the NFC South is a garbage division. Somebody's going to have to win it. I mean, Tampa still has a shot at winning it. Atlanta, New Orleans is junk. Carolina is not winning anything. So
Atlanta is actually leading that division at 6-6.
Yeah. So it's either Atlanta or Tampa. But I mean, somebody's winning that. Somebody's going into the playoffs with a below 500 record, and that is just a junk division. But
I think we're all just sitting here holding our breath and see whether Trevor Lawrence is going to be back.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be back this week, but I think he'll be back for Baltimore.
It is a
Sunday night game. Sunday night game. I think he's played hurt before. I mean, you remember the knee injury earlier in the season, and then so it's could they win if the defense were to fucking show up? I mean, we had that game won.
They did.
Whether Trevor was in it or not, we had the game won. There's no reason. It might have taken, just like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were saying on the TV, that it did take, all the air out of that stadium when Trevor went down.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I mean, Trevor is the franchise quarterback, but we also have a guy named Travis Etienne. He's pretty good. A guy named Zay Jones. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, is he good?
Yeah, he dropped a couple passes last night that he should have had, but
but he caught one big one that was called back for a fucking phantom holding penalty.
Yeah, he did.
So if the Jaguars are gonna go the stretch playing the game, we have to score more than the other team. It's not gonna work. They have to stop the other team from scoring.
Well, it's also not too hard when you lose Christian Kirk, who's a really good receiver, and then he goes down. It's pretty easy to say, well, let's just double team Ridley because that's probably where they're going to go. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out.
Well, I'll tell you, Zay Jones, if he can get his problem in his career has been able to get open. When he gets open, though, he catches that ball. He's made some very, very, very good contested catches, especially in the end zone. And then I was so glad for Evan Ingram last night, finally getting a touchdown. He had never scored a touchdown in Jacksonville, and that was the first touchdown he scored this year. So I was very happy to see him. I mean, for years, the Jaguars just didn't really even know what a tight end was. And so I was very
nice for you to get another good one.
Mm-hmm. So. How about that kid that caught the one that catch in the back of the end zone that was going to be intercepted, and then he took it away. He kind of white something. White.
His last name is Williams, right?
Williams, is that whatever his name is? But he was playing
because Christian Kirk was hurt.
Right. That guy made some serious catches too. He made some clutch catches too. So
we've got a wide receiver.
Speaking of guys who can catch the ball, Jamar Chase was out of this world last night.
Oh yeah, that guy was insane. That guy was insane.
I know he was on the opposing team, but dude, that guy gets the ball.
He was insane.
You know what though? I mean, in the argument that the SEC is biased and ESPN and the SEC are paying off everybody, I will point out that that game last night was heavy ACC SEC, heavy South players: Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
heavy.
Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, if Burrow would have
Josh
been playing,
Allen, Walker.
Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen. Josh Allen has come out of his fucking shell.
Oh,
that dude is fucking good.
Yeah.
Real quick, wanna share with you guys what the stupid sport of the week is. Okay.
Oh wait, let me do my thing.
Okay. Well, hustle the fuck up, man. We're at
jeez,
an hour already.
You were doing all your shit.
Well, you better fucking hustle.
That's 15 seconds. That's all it takes. Hold on to your knickers there, Connie.
Who's
15
Connie?
seconds of fame. That's all I'm going to do.
15 seconds.
You can put a clock on it if you want. So
Have you
I'm
been
watching
talking
right
to? You're talking about 15 seconds. You've been talking to the soon-to-be world famous wife again.
That's all it takes, baby. It's all it takes.
She asked me one time. How long does it take a real man to please a woman? And I said, who cares?
I was going to tell a really bad joke, but that's okay. I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name, but I don't care. Do you know who Aime Undoka is?
Is it? Oh, I know who he is. I think it's Ime.
Okay,
I don't know how to say the last name. I
think you're right. Ime.
How do you spell the last? Is it Ndoka?
No, it's Udoka. Udoka. Anyway, he's the head coach for the Houston Rockets.
Oh, it's Udoka. Yeah, it's Udoka.
And I'm going to give him props because he
called LeBron
a bitch. And you know what? Good for him.
Then he challenged him to a fight. It was amazing.
He did. And you know what? Good for him because he's saying, stop crying. He still told him to stop crying like a little bitch and for the fouls. And you know what? Good for you, buddy, because the fact that you're standing up to LeBron and saying, just go ahead and play basketball like you're supposed to do. Good for you, man. Good for you.
I tell you, LeBron is a bitch.
He is. He absolutely is.
LeBron is a bitch because when he wins, he's like all about you. But when he loses, he fucking gets the fuck off the court and fuck that guy.
Absolutely. So for that guy, I give him props. It's unbelievable. I love it. And the fact that he got ejected from the game for doing it, and LeBron got to just stay there and prance around it's so horseshit that it happened. But I give that guy his 15 seconds of fame because he deserves it.
You know what else he's famous for?
What?
You know who he was coaching last, right?
It's the NBA. Nobody really cares.
He was coaching the Celtics, and he got removed from his position for relations with a backroom staffer.
I like him even more. Now. Yeah, good for him. I thought that was probably one of the funniest. And
what'd you say? He was nailing him in the back door or the back room?
Those details haven't been given to us. So
okay.
Speaking of nailed it, Mondays.
So the stupid sport of the week. If you don't remember, last week we discussed the power slap.
Nice, I like it.
All right, so this is the stupid sport of the week. Is brought to you by the Two Penny Podcast.
Nice.
Okay, this week, and what I want to introduce everybody to is a sport called flaming puck unicycle hockey. Okay, and it's popular in, get this, Canada. It was invented in Toronto, Canada, of course, by Darren Bedford, and it's a summer hockey game played on unicycles on pavement with a special puck that's dunked in a flammable fluid and set on fire. Just before play, the flame makes a nice blue flame line as you hit it to start the game. Regular ice hockey rules apply, sticks down, etc. They played this game at NAUCC. That's someplace in Canada, I'm guessing. And they say that, quote, it's crazy fun on a unicycle, eh? It's flaming puck unicycle hockey. That's our stupid sport of the week, brought to you by the Two Penny Podcast. They still, in that article that I just shared with you, did not explain the icing rule.
That's funny. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the movie Clerks when Jay
Okay.
when Jay and Silent Bob and they close down the stop and go and they go up on the top of the roof to play hockey.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Also, yeah. Also in Wayne's World when they're doing it in the street and the cars keep coming by.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. That would be like that, but on unicycles lit on fire. That's awesome.
Well, the unicycles aren't lit on fire. The puck's lit on
Well,
fire.
I know what you're saying, but yes, on
And
unicycles.
the reason
with the
that they
puck
do
lit on
that
fire.
is because they watched hockey on Fox in the mid '90s, and when they
With the
lit
blue
the
line.
puck,
Yep.
they lit the puck
Yep.
so you
And
can
it has the
follow
blue
it, the
line.
puck around.
That's awesome.
You know, and hey, I appreciated that because I mean I wouldn't be paying attention because of fucking hockey, and who the fuck pays attention to that? Yeah,
Well,
but if we have some listeners that are hockey fans, you're more than welcome to fucking come on here, explain the fucking icing rule. Yeah, because I asked 10 people this week and I got 10 different fucking answers. So,
blue lines.
anyhow, I think we've beaten the Florida State thing to death. We've come to the end of our week here. Are there any parting thoughts about your affiliation with Unfiltered Studios?
I got a special guest on Finding Your Way this week.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, tune in to find out. And we had a great conversation.
okay.
Great conversation.
I
Worth
fear
listening to.
that it might be about candles.
Might be.
Yeah, because I fear that somebody may
Yeah.
not have deleted it out of our thing, and somebody else
and you saw
watched
it.
it.
I see.
You know, but anyhow, so that's going on. Finding Your Way. We listened to Nailed It on Monday and talked about Die Hard. You know, and that sparked great conversation on the Twitter.
It did. It had a lot of controversy.
Yeah, it
I didn't
sparked
really
great.
think it was that controversial, but
I don't think it is either. You know,
No.
but it sparked great. Pedals of Support, which came out Tuesday.
and you were on.
Had a great guest, and you know what was funny?
I didn't think it
is
was that good.
I think you can go fuck yourself.
I thought worst one of the year, honestly. But I mean, you know, it's everybody's got
Okay.
their opinion.
I mean, whatever. The way she ended the episode was fucking classic.
It was good. It was good.
The way she ended the episode. And if
Yeah.
you guys want to know the answer, you're gonna listen on Thursday. I ain't fucking telling you.
Yeah, she did a good cliffhanger. It was good.
Yeah. So yeah, it surprised me. I texted her immediately, and I was like, "Hey, that was fucking cool," you know.
Yeah.
But you know, today we got this program also. Oh, on Tuesday, Sleepy G. I was talking National Treasure. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
He actually brought up, I don't know that he listens to our podcast, but Sleevy, if you're listening, I did text him. I was like, dude, I texted him on Twitter. I was like, hey, dude, because he was talking about the cities where the third movie might go, like if they had a third movie.
Uh-huh.
And he said it has to be near water and it has to be, you know, something's, you know, especially historic. So I was like, well, St. Augustine is the oldest city in America and it's on the ocean. So surely there's something shipwrecked out there, you know, important, right?
I tell you where you could go, which big Revolutionary and Civil War and body of water, Savannah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Savannah or New Orleans.
Yep. And they did mention, I think, New Orleans, or at least the Mississippi River Delta.
Right, but Savannah's got the Savannah River.
Yeah.
That's the one of the largest ports, you know, south of Mason-Dixon line, of course, but one of the largest ports on the east coast of the United States. And I mean, tons of Revolutionary War and Civil War history there. Yeah, I mean, every time they have a fucking Civil War movie, they film some of it in Savannah.
Yeah. Which is
So-
probably rightfully so. But
Yeah. So
anyway, shout out to Stevie G. It was a good episode.
yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Yeah, man. Hypno Wellness on Wednesday, along with this program on Thursday. We got Finding Your Way with Beebs and special guest talking about candles. And we also have the Movie Lovers Unite there, like, you know, several days. and then How to Be Less of an Asshole with Rania, tell you how to be less like me. Yeah, and going through there, then every day you can listen to Stupid History Minute, and you can learn about Christmas movies, which is fun. Christmas movies are fun.
Indeed.
You know? Somebody gave me shit today. You're like, you actually like the movie Fred Claus? Yeah. Who
That's
doesn't?
that's pretty good.
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
St. Joe's like, that's not a Christmas movie. It's absolutely
It's a
a
good
Christmas
movie.
movie. Yeah. Jingle All the Way's coming.
Yeah.
I put that shit in there. Jingle All the Way's in there. Yeah, I know you don't care for that movie. But what else?
Nothing, man. I mean, it's don't forget about the 2 Penny on Friday.
Oh yeah.
And then their
they are a
video
sponsor.
podcast on Monday. Tune in. They got to get some viewers on Monday, just like we're doing here.
Oh yeah. So,
Also, hey, listen, if you're wanting to start a podcast, or if you have a podcast that you're starting and you think you might want some help with promotion or just, general encouragement, you should check out unfpod.com. We will help you press record. Right, Kev?
Yeah.
you can join the podcast revolution.
That's right.
Yeah,
You
that's
can join
right.
the podcast revolution.
We want a true crime one really bad, but we'll get one.
Yeah. So if you're out there looking for a home for your podcast, you want to start a new one, check out unfpod.com. You find out a bunch of good stuff on there. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, it's Beebs UNFPod.
Yeah, I'll talk to you
on Twitter. But go check out all of our family over at unfpod.com, and you can listen to their episodes right there if you want. Or you could find out where your favorite. They can be found on your favorite podcasting platform, whether it be Apple
one
or
more
Spotify
thing.
or whatever. Yeah.
One more. Don't forget to buy the Stupid History book.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the thing. So that you get it by December 15th, because if you don't get it by December 15th, I'm not guaranteeing you're getting it by Christmas. Good
point.
The United States Postal Service and UPS and FedEx, they're busy.
This time of year, yeah. But no joke.
They're busy. So order it by the 15th. Order it by the 15th. I guarantee you get it by Christmas. If it's not by the 15th, I just sent out like 7, today. And if you get it by the 15th, I guarantee you get it. If not, sorry about you.
The date that this comes out is the 6th. Oh, yeah. Kev said if you order it by the 9th, he'll actually sign it.
No, 15th. Oh, you'll get it signed.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. You'll get it signed. So,
okay.
But if you want it quicker than that, then you can get a non-signed full price book over at Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
Search the Stupid History book. So,
okay.
But thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah.
But
also, at Kev Lives, you can ask Santa Kev what you want for Christmas.
Sure.
We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
A Jags win.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a Jags win, and we're going to talk about the Heisman Trophy and get ready for the bowl games coming up next week. So if you're into that, check us out. We'll be here every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, and the audio version will be out when you get in the car Wednesday morning to take your commute to work, wherever you may be going. So go check out all our friends with Unfiltered Studios for St. Joe for the Beebs. My name is Keb. We'll catch you guys next week.
Catch you on the flippity flop.